Late. I didn't realize how it was. Hello, welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. It is the 13th of March. Wow, there we go. 13th of March, 2025. Now I can read and see what I'm doing. And we are getting into the end of frost season. We're practically there, a day or two left. It is your last chance to get in and complete any of the tasks for gamified tasks that you are still left to complete at the end of frost season. But it also marks the start, or just about there, of the second round, the second wave of Sparklet Warz. And things are different and things are evolving, and there is a little bit difference as far as how you participate and what activities and mechanisms exist, and we will get into those. And that's about where we are today. Obviously, we did come to an end on a revolving or a extended game or extended period of the game inside of the ledger contest. We know that that's something that is going to get given away at some point, but Upwood hasn't talked about the specific times. But we do, and the one thing to prepare for immediately is going to be this in-between period, this period between frost season and blossom season, and obviously that is going to be where Sparklet Warz lives. So we get to the details on Sparklet Warz, and we look forward to blossom season, which we won't hear much about for another couple weeks. So for tonight, let's get things kicked off. All views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. Shouldn't be taken as game strategy, financial advice. They represent the game of Upland, the team of Upland. Any guest contributors who we do have on have their own opinions. They don't represent myself, the Goldsmith, the Cabinet Show, the game of Upland, team of Upland. Shouldn't be taken as game strategy or financial advice. Easy enough. Oh, and one thing, let's get it up front. It's been asked, I may have been one of the people asking, maybe. And then it became a topic and a discussion, and people have been asking. But it's been something that I asked about in December. I asked about in January. I asked about more recently. And it's kind of boiled up a little bit. And that is the question of Genesis Week 2025. This will be the fourth Genesis Week in-person event if it happens. And again, I say if because we don't have the announcement yet. Announcements to come very soon, according to the game. The team of Upland has kind of been the scuttlebutt, the boil up, the team responding to some of the questions that are out there. And you'll get information soon is a very common thing we see in Upland. They don't want to tell us before they're ready to tell us. And hopefully very soon means very soon. We're looking forward to knowing, because ultimately it does take coordination. It takes time. It takes effort on the team of Upland. And for sure, they want to know that they have their ducks in a row before they make announcements. But it also takes time and effort and coordination to make it to the event, to take time off work, to afford or pay for flights or tickets or whatever the case is. And if you get too close, now your tickets get more expensive. And now it's less affordable for a lot of people. And you don't want people to not be able to participate because they can't take time off at work or they can't afford the extra price of the plane ticket. So hopefully it's very soon and gives people plenty of time to plan and get ready for Genesis Week in-person event this year of 2025, fourth annual Genesis Week live event. And that out of the way, let's get to the one thing that is probably the biggest, and it's been for a lot of people, it's been the thing they've been waiting for all of frost season. Frost season may or may not have been their cup of tea. There may not or may not have been anything inside frost season they were excited about, but they were excited about the next round of Sparklet Warz. Season 2 of Sparklet Warz brings new battlegrounds, updated mechanics, and fresh incentives to keep the competition fierce. This round takes place in Las Vegas, and only 175 passes per faction will be available, making entry more exclusive. Again, that's less passes per faction, and the battle more intense. Plus, players who actively participate last season will get early access to passes. So essentially, I don't know if this is the right methodology. I don't know if it makes the game, more exciting for people. Maybe it does. And that is the people who have already participated once, they get an opportunity to participate again. Since this is supposed to be an alpha, or since this is supposed to be, a pre-beta even of Sparklet Warz, so we're learning how to do it. We're learning how to do it more effectively. We're going to make it more inclusive. We're going to make it larger over time. And now we make it a little more exclusive. Now we gate it and say, hey, if you participated before and you want to participate, you're going to have the first chance to get involved, which means, I mean, theoretically, you have the same sample group. If you want to see what people's reactions are to the first round versus the second round, but it also means that if there really is excitement and people like the idea of it and they weren't able to participate the first round, they're much less likely to have the opportunity based on, again, this idea of this the pre-sale and the potential of exclusion, just because of the number of interested participants versus the number of passes, the exclusion of those who weren't able to participate last time. Maybe they tried and they didn't get a pass. Maybe the cost was a concern, and maybe they found a way to save up money. If it's a USD purchase, maybe they found a way to do that. They sold something into USD in order to do so. They used the Ledger contest as an opportunity to sell some of their stuff because people were actively buying USD more. Now they have money in their Tilia, and now they have less opportunity to get that pass. So, we can make the argument either way, whether or not this is a testing mechanism where the people who continue to participate in multiple rounds can have a better idea of what happened last round. Maybe it limits the learning curve. Maybe it gives a better degree of response to, what the experience has been for people. But love to see more opportunities for new people to participate. Love to see incentives for people who didn't participate before to come and be part of the grand tent. Everybody together, playing together, and theoretically, that's what you would hope when we talk about these events, is get more people involved instead of less. But let's get into more details here. If you did participate last round, you have a better chance to participate this round. If you didn't participate last round, you do still have opportunity to get into this play. Head on over to the link for all the details and get ready for your battle stations. Season 2 of Sparklet Warz does begin here very shortly. The stakes have never been higher, taking place between Frost and Blossom season. So Frost season is going to end on the 15th. Blossom season will start on the 1st. We had this period of time to have the Sparklet Warz in between. The stakes have never been higher, as Upland says, and by that they mean, what is it? What do they mean? They mean that there is going to be potentially better rewards. But let's see, for a little bit of copy here. Era of strategic warfare, testing the adaptability, resilience, and cunning of every faction. This is something where resources make a big difference. What properties you own in a neighborhood make a big difference, and also who decides to be in what faction. And since factions were previously tradable, that really was a choice. It was a choice of people organizing and choosing to be part of one faction or another, and that playing a big difference as far as the outcomes were concerned, as opposed to gameplay and strategy and movement of things. The ownership of specific assets of the game or properties in specific areas, plus people selecting in to one faction versus the other. Let's take a look at how things are different and how things are the same this round around. Again, Sparklet Warz continues to be an open beta phase, meaning people can come in, but it's limited. More will be coming in the future. We will have adaptability here, or Upland has the ability to pivot if one thing doesn't work, to go in a different direction, or if things don't work correctly, mechanisms don't work the way they're supposed to improve those mechanisms for people moving forward. This will be, again, Upland's opportunity to analyze the results, gather additional feedback, see how people are enjoying the play, and evolve the experience over time. Participation per faction remains capped to ensure a balanced and competitive battlefield. Mark your calendars. Faction pass burns begin on Tuesday, March 18th at 9 a.m. PT, with the battle officially kicking off Thursday, March 20th at 9 a.m. PT. The war rages on until Thursday, the 27th of March at 9 a.m. PT, when the one faction will rise above all the rest and claim the Las Vegas as their very own. What's new in Season 2? Season 2 of Sparklet Warz brings a new battleground, updated mechanics, and fresh incentives to keep the competition fierce. New battleground. This round takes place in Las Vegas. We knew this ahead. This was announced ahead. This was kind of why we saw a lot that was centered in Las Vegas as far as the game play or the gamified earnings for this season, for Blossom season. Queensridge exclusion. Oh. The Queensridge neighborhood will not be eligible as it was purchased in its entirety by a single player. Okay, that makes sense. Obviously, if one player owns an entire neighborhood, it makes it really hard for people to get in and use either the weapons or the defense against buildings. It would have been an unfair advantage because one party continues to own an entire neighborhood. Makes sense to exclude that particular neighborhood. Pass limit. This season, only 175 passes per faction will be available, making entry even more exclusive. It was excuse me. It was 200 per faction last season. Obviously, this is a smaller grouping. Whitelist access players who actively participated last season by scoring points, not just owning a pass, will get exclusive early access to purchase a pass from the store during a 24-hour priority window before they become available to the newcomers. Real-time strategy events, time challenges during the war that reward bonus points for competing actively. And again, there is a couple mechanics that did need to be changed or are being changed. That's the whole point of beta. Updated cart mechanics. Season 2, carts remove 50% of points from a structure as opposed to everything. Season 1 carts only remove 25%. What? So we have this same mechanic we've seen in Upland before. In many types and many iterations of NFTs or gamified asset ownership, you say, hey, it's old. You were first off the gate. This is an older item. It has enhanced utilities. The new ones have, the new ones are nerfed a little bit. They don't have the same utility. The old OG version is so much better. We don't say that in Upland. In Upland, we say, oh, it's old. It's rusty. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to. It doesn't give you the same utility. So season 2 cards, 50% of the points from a structure. Season 1 cards only remove 25% of the points, which gives you an incentive to buy the new one. Go figure. That is a mechanism that Upland uses in many other ways when it comes to NFLPA, when it comes to other iterations inside the game. It takes 2 to achieve the same effect as 1 for the, the season 1 cards. Map assets. Previously sold season 1 map assets will count toward battle points. Mystery bonus incentives. Players who switch factions this season and win with their new faction will receive a mystery bonus prize. Essentially, Upland giving a small incentive for people not to, group up in the same faction this time around, for people potentially to make a change. Because if you participate and you change your faction, and with your changed faction, you're able to win, again, being an active participant, there's going to be something more in store. And again, I think there's other ways to do this. Again, jumping ship, choosing what faction you want to be part of, buying and selling passes on the secondary, all well and good, except it kind of allows people to organize, and it's more about who got into what group at a certain point, who owns what properties, and choosing to be with people who have good properties in the neighborhood, potentially people who have better access to assets in the game. I don't know if that's the game we're really playing, but again, Upland has set it up that way. So organizing your team before you even burn your pass, burning the right pass, that is going to, as in season 1, play a large role in whether or not your team wins. At the all pass structure ornaments and map assets will continue to be usable in this event, giving players even more opportunities to strategize and compete in this war. Again, it's bigger according to Upland than last season. Again, there's more assets, right? So if the old assets work the same way and we're adding new assets, yeah, it's bigger. There's more assets in play. Again, this is the season 2. If this continues to compound in this way, it could get big. It could get big over time, and hopefully expansion of players could play into that. But yeah, we could have more and more assets for about the same number of players, and it makes it a more intense competition. Only Season 2 passes will be eligible for participation, which means if you burned a previous pass, you cannot enter Season 2 of Sparklet Warz. You will need to buy and burn a Season 2 pass to enter Season 2 of Sparklet Warz. Go figure. What you burnt for Season 1 doesn't count. If you bought a Season 1 pass, held on to it, burning it doesn't get you into Season 2. What is Sparklet Warz? Sparklet Warz is an intense battle for control of a city designed to inspire teamwork, creativity, and strategic mastery, featuring counterplay dynamics, tactical item deployment, and score optimization. Players must unite within their faction to dominate the city and claim ultimate victory. At the end of the event, the faction with the highest score will be declared the winner, and every player in that faction will receive a share of the Sparklet airdrop. That's what happened last season. That's what's happening again this season, with rewards scaled based on individual contributions. Choose your faction in Upland. The battle for the control of the city again will start. And the key here is Crypto Knights. After securing second place in the last battle, the Crypto Knights are more determined than ever to seize victory. Believing in what are we doing here? Let's read the story, then let's go back and see what Upland's saying. Believing in order, strategy, and resilience, they fight to establish Sparklet in the foundation of a prosperous future, one where stability reigns supreme. The Knights now know that the power it is to build, not stolen, and is this season they refuse to settle for second place. Okay, so Upland says there's an incentive to change teams. Change teams and win, you get a little bonus prize. Now Upland's saying this team that's from previous season, they're working continuously. Well, that would assume it's the same people on the same team. It's no longer the same team if it's different people. It doesn't make sense that you're incentivizing people to not be part of that team. Again, if you wanted to say, if you were a knight last season and you stay a knight, you get a bonus prize, or there's an enhanced utility. And in a way, there is enhanced utility. It's enhanced utility because you already have the assets from last season. So you're in a better position to participate in this season. If you own structure ornaments, if you own map assets, you are in a better position to compete successfully this season. But again, the incentive that Upland has put out is to switch teams. So it's kind of a interesting point here to put out this storyline of this continual activity of this team versus that team, and what this team is going to do this season based on what they did last season. Because Upland's saying switch your teams and get a better prize. Purge Pirates again, finish third place. History's taught us anything is that Pirates never stay down for long. Again, if you follow Upland's methodology, if you follow Upland's incentives, you're going to switch teams. You're going to switch teams because you get a bonus incentive if your new team wins. All right. Take what's ours, leave none for the rest. That's the Purge Pirates, according to Upland. Again, it's cute. It's a cute little storyline, but there isn't really that unified gameplay. There isn't a way that one team differentiates from another. I would argue that if Upland really wanted to make it these factions and tie these factions to this, whatever the philosophy is that they are putting out, then they would have different utility. The pirates would get a small bonus for doing blank, and the cyborgs would get a different bonus for doing blank, and the knights would get a small bonus for doing blank, or the way their assets would work would be balanced, but would work in a different way, emphasizing a different strategy for that faction. So I don't understand the point of the stories for these differentiated factions, other than the fact that it's, again, storytelling, and it's the idea of organizing around a principle, but a principle without any real application. All right, Cypher Cyborgs evolve, adapt, and dominate again. Won the first season. If it's the same players, then they're going to compete and they're going to work hard to win again. And if it's different players, if the incentive is to join a different team and get a bonus point, well, just maybe just maybe all of the cyborgs leave their team and go somewhere else and then stay together because they are the team that had better properties for the most part as part of it. Was able to put together an asset and was able to organize. And that organizing was key. The having assets available was key. Having the right properties in the right area was key in Tokyo. Some of those people who participated on the cyborgs in Tokyo, they have good properties as well as do many other people who were participants in the first season. Have good properties in Vegas. So it could be a matter of what is the incentives and where do the incentives lie. But again, one of the biggest incentives to stay on a team or be on a specific team is continuing to hold assets from season one. They still have value. Many of them have the same value. Some, like the cards, have less value. Prepare for the battle. To participate, you will need to burn a faction pass available in the UPX store starting Monday the 17th of March at 9 a.m. PT. The first passes you burn locks you into your faction, and additional passes won't change your allegiance. Again, you buy, you trade, you swap, you sell, you burn. And when you burn, that's what locks you in. You get the wrong pass from the pass sale, the pass you don't want to be a part of the faction, you don't want to live with for a 14 or 12-day period. You trade it, you sell it, and you join the squad you want to be a part of. And again, this idea for me of not having having a randomized sale, you get what you get, and then an incentive to switch sides, it does create a temporary market for these passes, so that can be an opportunity for profit for the people who profiteer off these type of things. People moving from one faction to another, people trying to organize and take their time and have conversations before deciding what faction to be a part of. Maybe that's part of the fun, part of the game, but it just seems silly to have a randomized sale and then the goal is to just choose what squad you're part of, as opposed to a randomized allocation of what your faction is, and then you participate. And you get together with people you don't plan to be a part of. And again, this is an idea. You get together with a faction of people that you didn't choose. It was randomized, but how you work together once you're randomized, once you are in this faction, as opposed to choosing to be together in this faction, that would be an interesting dynamic. That'd be fun. That would be something that would really be about teamwork, and about meeting new people and building relationships, and how well can you work with people you didn't choose to work with, as opposed to, building your squad of a lot of good friends. And some of these friends you've had relationships for years, and maybe that's part of the fun, and it is part of the fun for a lot of people, that they could be with their friends and play with their friends. But again, differences of opinion, differences of strategy, and differences of what you're emphasizing. Working together with other uplanders who you may or may not know, versus build your squad of your best friends, and the best squad wins. All right, let's take a look again. Randomized factions, as we said, they're tradable passes. The whole idea: you get what you get, you sell it, you buy it, you get what you want, you burn it. These are specifically designed for burning. They will not contribute to collection score. There's no value to these passes other than burning them. So buying 15 of them, holding on to them, missing the burn window, no value in doing that. So just keep that in mind. To ensure fair and balanced faction distribution, a minimum of 50 players must register, burn a pass for each faction before the battle can commence. So maybe Joe Jimmy, when I said the 15 passes, maybe he has 15 passes and burn any of them, and somebody else does the same thing, and the game doesn't happen. I don't think anyone's going to do that, but that is a mechanism worth considering. We're talking about one third of the passes for each of the factions. If they got locked up for whatever reason, and 2/3 of each of the passes did not get burned, it's over. It's over. No game. So I don't know if that's the best mechanism. Maybe it could get tripped and not work the way it's supposed to. We'll have to watch it. I think people want to participate. I don't think this is going to be something that comes into play. But any of these mechanisms that are clunky or could potentially be exploited or could potentially cause a complete failure, I always like to observe that they're there. Maybe they shouldn't be, or maybe it's all set. Maybe Upland puts it out there, and all things work the way they're supposed to. Additionally, if any single faction exceeds 25% more burns than the other two, burns of that faction's past will be temporarily disabled to maintain competitive balance. Essentially, you can't have 75 burns of one faction and 50 burned of the other two. Once you have joined a faction, you will gain access to the Sparklet Warz bundle exclusive to your team. That's your opportunity to buy the assets for the season to participate. These bundles can only be purchased for your chosen faction and include essential tools for victory, ornaments, which are faction points, cannons, which are offensive items, chests, which are defensive items, and the powerful cards, which are the ultimate weapon, all designed to help you secure points and disrupt rival factions. Once a pass is burned, players gain access to exclusive in-game chat channel for their faction exclusively. Again, you're part of your faction channel, no others, and then the people in the other factions aren't part of your channel, providing a perfect way to strategize and connect with your team. And I will tell you, last season, all three factions had Discord groups outside of official Upland channels. They built their own communication network so that they could build out these channels. They could set, different channels within the group, and they could set different priorities of communication and what worked best for them. And we'll likely see that happen again. But again, Upland is building some communication channel in the game of Upland for these teams, for these factions. Once a pass is burned, again, you get into that exclusive chat channel. You can go in and use that for communication. Players will also receive a temporary avatar overlay just to say what faction you're a part of, proudly displaying the faction you're officially joining. Score mechanisms or mechanics. The goal of Sparklet Warz is simple. Earn the most points for your faction throughout the strategic building, decorating, and asset placement. Build and decorate. Again, faction wars will earn points by placing faction ornaments on their structures in Las Vegas, showcasing the faction's claim. This is what Cyborg looks like. This is what Crypto Knights look like. This is what Purge Pirates look like. Micro, small townhouse, ranch house, Tokyo townhouse, MA. So this was kind of a point of contention for me anyways. This was something that made me nervous about the first season because I ended up with 3 Tokyo townhouses ornaments. Wasn't that lovely? It was great. It was just a coincidence of fate. But now they have no value this season. It was kind of interesting to see that happen. Would have been more conducive to this idea of one season begets the other if we didn't have a bunch of the ornaments that didn't have utility this season. But it was a choice, very specific. And I think there was a reason for it, and that was, to limit the amount of carry forward from season 1 to season 2, to remove some of those from the pool. But again, as somebody who has those, it just feels like, I lost out on a little utility by random chance. Small townhouse, again, 40 points. Microhouse, 30 points. Ornament on a ranch house is 50 points, 70 points for an apartment building, and 250 for the superstructure. This is something that we have scaling points, and size of property counts here. There's a lot of larger properties in Las Vegas that there weren't in Tokyo. It is worth noting, but it is an interesting point here. Important note, the Tokyo Townhouse will not be worth any points this season, as it is designated exclusively for unique structure in Tokyo and cannot be used in Las Vegas. Again, just cry in the corner, and that's where I am this season with all my nice Tokyo Townhouse ornaments. In addition, players can construct faction superstructures, permanent structures, permanent buildings that symbolize the faction's dominance and serve as a powerful representation of your collective strength. 120,000 spark hours to complete with the maximum stake of 1,500 Spark. Again, remember, Spark's utility has been devalued. That was something Upwind intentionally did. The value of Sparklet was lower than it had originally been, had been lowered over time. Since the pricing was lowered, Upwind lowered the utility to scale as well. Once completed, the superstructures grant the highest points available. The factions all factions have superstructures available for them. They all work the same way. Only those designated within your registered faction will count towards your leaderboard. But you could build any faction structure if you choose to do so. There's some strategies that play in with that. There's some false flag effort that could be done there if you want to build a superstructure and then have it up on your property, but have it not doing anything. Again, there is some fake outs that people can do there. Scoring progression. Faction scoring in Sparklet Warz is progressive with percentages of each faction told. So this hasn't changed. Day 1, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. 7-day challenge with increasing points applied to your total score going through. So if one team is 90% winning, has so much more assets out than the others on day 1, well, only 10% of that score is going to count towards your final score. So it's what you do over time, how you improve your score, the competition of one's factions moving assets one way, the other faction has to respond, continue to progress. And again, as you get closer to the end of faction wars towards day 5, 6, and 7, that's where the most of the points are going to end up coming from. So keep that in mind. The last 3 days are worth more than the first 4. So keep that in mind, that this is something to participate in to, build up your participation level. And ultimately, if you're not participating for the entire time, the value of your input is going to be limited. The scoring system rewards factions that communicate effectively, pay attention to daily performance, and make strategic adjustments as other factions adjust around them. New real-time strategy events. So there are going to be a few new updates. In Season 2 of Sparklet Warz, we're introducing the real-time strategic events, time challenges that offer bonus points for players who act fast and execute their strategy effectively. Dynamic events will introduce neighborhood-based bonuses or reductions, adding an extra layer of strategy on the war. With limited time windows, factions must stay alert, coordinate quickly, and adapt to shifting conditions to gain a competitive edge. Weapons are specialized map assets, same as last season. Offensive cannons, defensive chests, again, affecting how points are generated from a ornament, both an offensive opportunity to decrease the points of an opponent and a defensive opportunity to reduce the effectiveness of the oppositions or the opposing factions' offensive weapons. And then we have cards. Cards look different this time. That's kind of fun. I like cards that look different. But again, Season 2, 50% removal of points on a structure. Cards from Season 1, only 25%. Is a differentiated look. Differentiated look to let you know whether a Season 1 or Season 2 is being used. Players will complete freedom for strategic place and repositioning of their assets throughout the city and throughout the contest. Success will hinge on collaborative and communication, how people work together. The most successful team will excel by planning ahead, coordinating effectively, and executing the strategy with precision. Again, the theory is the same number of assets are out per faction. The same number of passes are out per faction. If people burn all the passes, if everybody who buys a pass burns a pass, that's 75 versus 7. Oh, sorry, 175 versus 175 versus 175. It makes sense. But the reality, like I said, is if people are choosing what faction they're part of and they know who else is on that faction, they really can coordinate even before they coordinate. They can say, I own this much property in Vegas. That's good for me. That's good for my team. I'm going to go to the team that I know people who own lots of property in Vegas. So that's something to watch out for. Is this really is a upfront organizing event? That what you do during the event, absolutely important. The way scoring is done, if you're going to build the best team and then do nothing with the assets you have, do nothing with the properties people have, then you're obviously not going to win. But starting with the right team does matter. So do the organization ahead. Use your best judgment. I will tell you what I did last season, and that is play for myself. Myself being what is going to be most fun for me, not what's going to help me win, what's going to get me the most likely, or what's going to put me in the best position to get a prize at the end. And you have to play your own game. And again, if this is for fun, which I hope it is more about what you're doing with your team. So choose your team wisely and effectively, and good luck as we get into Sparklet Warz. Here's the prices. Here's the sales. Key dates. March 16th, 9 a.m. PT. Whitelist access opens on Sunday. Again, Sunday the 16th. Public sales starts the 19th, 9 a.m. PT. The price is $5. There's 525 total passes available. Once you buy your pass, you get what you get as a pass. It's randomly distributed, and then you can sell or trade or swap and end up with the pass you want, the faction you want to be a part of. Sparklet Warz bundle. Each bundle contains 2 randomly selected NFTs, which may include a map asset, offensive or defensive, a car, the ultimate weapon, or a structure ornament for scoring. $13 a piece, 500 of those available. Faction pass burning window. It opens on Tuesday the 18th, 9 a.m. PT, with faction war beginning Thursday, March 20th, 9 a.m. PT. The battle concludes on the 27th at 9 a.m. PT. The ultimate goal of Sparklet Warz is to secure a share of 200,000 Sparklet airdrop. And again, it's only the winning faction that gets part of that airdrop. Again, win for your faction. The more you participate, the more points you get for your faction, the larger your share of that airdrop. Faction winners. Sparklet airdrop. The higher your rank on your faction's leaderboard, the higher your share of the airdrop. Exclusive badge. The top 3 players in the winning faction will receive an additional badge for Sparklet Warz. Mystery bonus reward. Switch factions, secure victory, and unlock an exclusive bonus reward to be revealed at the end of the season. You know what I'm missing here? I'm missing here the prize for working your butt off, being a strong contributor to your team, helping your team get as close to winning as possible, and then having your team not win. So this is, again, not primarily an individual competition, obviously. It is built around collaboration, how you work in your cooperation, and the team you built. But there really isn't that individual reward for those who put a ton of contribution in versus those who don't. It's those who are on the team that has the most contribution overall. So again, it's choose your team that you want to work with. And we'll see that people, are going to try to bandwagon in with the team that they think is most likely to win. And the people who choose to organize together, whatever their team is, may have a lower availability of passes to burn. We'll have to see how this figures out. But ultimately, that dynamic of random assignment of passes, and then you can swap or trade to get onto a squad, and really emphasizing who is on what squad, as opposed to emphasizing trying to work with whoever ends up on your squad. That reality, that dynamic, that was what I hope would change this season again, because I just want to see Upland in this type of game be one that emphasizes teamwork across. Doesn't have to be an anonymous space. It can have as much camaraderie as people choose to bring to it, but across a new group of people. And if that was the case, if it was a new group of people, it would be more of a story of that cooperation and how people work, as opposed to relationships that have existed for years, which are great. But again, it's a different type of gameplay. And I don't know. I like new people. I like the opportunity to meet new people, and it would be fun if the upwind was emphasizing that as well. All factions, exclusive block explorers, the top 25 players. Oh, there is a small incentive. Look at this. Look at this. Here's your cookie. Top 25 players on each faction leaderboard receive a unique block explorer to specific to their faction, to their team, commemorating their standout performance. So look at this block explorer for the Pirates. That's cute. Look at the one for the Knights. That's cute. Look at this one for the Cyborgs. That's cute. So that is an incentive to participate, right? It's a little cookie. You participate, you put all that effort in, top 25, here's your block explorer. Players will have access to 3 leaderboards during the event, each offering unique insights into the battle's progress. Real-time faction leaderboard, the official faction score, that's what your score is overall. The real-time is what your team has accumulated for overall points, and then that is applied by the daily multiplier, the 10%, 20% over time. And then, and then there's an individual scoreboard, which is how many points you're contributing to your team. Get ready. Are you ready to build, battle, and conquer? The city of Las Vegas awaits its new champion with real-time strategic events, an updated card system, and past map assets still in play. So there's more in play than there was last season. This war is bigger, more intense than ever. Whether you are going to fight with the precision of Crypto Knights, again, precision of Crypto Knights, there's no precision. There's no differentiation between teams. The Crypto Knights don't have any different assets, any different weapons than the Pirates. So we're just throwing adjectives at things at this point. The daring of the Purge Pirates or the ingenuity of the Cypher Cyborgs. Your faction's legacy is on the line. Assemble your team, deploy your cannons and chests, and leverage the power of the cart to dominate the battlefield. The war for Sparklet begins on the 20th of March. Don't miss your opportunity and chance to be a part of Upland history. Again, this is an opportunity to be a part of a gameplay. This is a chance, if you participated last time, to jump in. But yeah, there's some of the dynamics here that I think are short-sighted. And one of them is, rewarding people for participation in season 1 to participate in season 2. If we really are trying to work out bugs and to grow it and to get more people involved and for it to be more exciting, I think we're missing some opportunities there. I think that if this game long-term is about people organizing themselves with the same team, the same people every season, I think there's a bit of boredom there for me. If people are, trading what team they're on in regards to get a little extra bonus, that's kind of an incentive. It's kind of an incentive to shake the teams up. But again, with open movement between factions prior to the burn, this is ultimately about, or more about, who ends up on what team than it is about the activities that they make during the season in many, many ways. As far as the season's concerned, Blue Rain, you do have an open mic, just as a heads up. As far as the season's concerned, this is a second iteration. There will be future iterations. Upland will have an opportunity to make things better, hopefully. And hopefully your activities, your participation this season is going to play into what happens next season. I think the idea of the carts and how Upland try to balance those a little bit does come from what was happening last season, the success or lack thereof of some of the activities, or whether or not that balance was off, the placement of your properties, what properties people had existing, really made a difference as far as the functionality, very much so, because the cards were a little bit OP and Upland has rebalanced them a bit. We'll see how that plays out this season. But again, the big thing I'm looking at to see is it the same people organizing the same team, again, working together, but because of their organization, because it's the same people who are successful this season. So fun to watch out for, fun to participate, a little bit different dynamics, but the incentive is the same people participating again and participating in similar ways. With that, Looking forward to the new season for Blossom season that's going to come up in about 3 weeks, a week and a half, 2.5 weeks, anyways, on the first. And in between, that's when we're going to have on the second Sparklet Wars. So, thank you so much for being here. I lost my voice. I do apologize. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT on YouTube, on Twitter, on Tuesdays and on Fridays, on Uplands Plaza in San Francisco. So for tonight, thank you so much for being here. If you're in the Upland Discord Cafe, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.